Now that you've finished your draft, the next step is to have a conversation with your direct report to introduce the soul of the role to them. Once you've done that, you're going to ask them to answer the same 4 questions for themselves. And be prepared, they're probably going to come up with some answers that are very different than yours. That's the purpose of the soul of the role conversation. It's not to get them to repeat the answers that you came up with, but for them to come up with their own answers so that you can compare notes to see where you're misaligned today and to have a productive conversation on how to move forward. I want you to look at the calendar and find the next one-on-one that you have coming up where you're going to have this very new type of conversation with your direct report. During that conversation, I want you to introduce the soul of the role and the process that you're about to embark on together. Be ready to share an overview of the process with them, to explain it to them, and to let them know that your goal is to get to a place of much greater clarity and alignment around their role, both at the level of the content of what they do every day and why that work matters. Soul of the role is a collaboration, and it starts with a short conversation that might sound something like this. Hey, so I think there's an opportunity for us to improve things on our team, and I've come across this tool called the soul of the role. It's really about us having a conversation around the purpose or the why of your role. And I know that you know all the tasks and the projects and everything that's in your inbox. It's not so much about that. It's more about like, why does that role exist and the specific impact that it can have on the team. So if you're up for it, I want to send you this worksheet that I got, and it has 4 questions on it. I've written them up for myself, but I'd love for you to write up your answers to those same 4 questions. And then in our next one-on-one, we can come together and compare notes. And it's not about my answers being right. It's just about us having a space to have a conversation. And then in our next one-on-one, we can talk about it and we'll just go from there. Sound good? So that's just an example of what it could sound like. You got to do it in your own voice, and you know your people better than I do. So modify the script as you see fit and modify it to the conversation that you need to have. But the worksheet is a great starting point for that dialogue. One tip I give my clients is that when you have this conversation, make sure that you emphasize that it's about the process and the conversation, not the answers. And maybe you need to say that 2 or 3 times. Once your direct report has had some time to complete their version of the worksheet and answer the question for themselves, the next step in the process is to have a conversation where you talk about your responses. The next video is designed to help you get that conversation right.